Hello, am I audible? Hello, students.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Okay, so before proceeding further, I just want to say that there is a textbook, very good textbook on this subject. That is, I'm writing the name. You might already have that name. Fundamentals of Power Electronics, and by Robert Erickson. And Dragan Maxwell. So Dragan Maximovich and Robert Erickson, this is a good book. So let's now continue the discussion. The last class I was talking about a case. Let us understand this philosophy of energy transfer first. We have two switches. This is a source. I just gave 10 volt to the source, and there is another complementary switch, that is Q bar. Q and Q bar implies that when Q is on, Q bar switch is off. When Q bar switch is on, Q switch is off. That is the complementary way of operation. This is the inductor. We understood why the inductor was required, and then there is a capacitor which is related to the output that we require, and this was the load. We assume that inductors and capacitors are pretty big, fat, very big inductors and capacitor to understand the essence more clearly, and remove the slightly unrelated parts from our discussion at this moment. So this is the output voltage V0. V0, this is the output voltage V0. We assume that the circuit has reached a steady state. So, and we assume that the duty ratio of switch Q duty ratio, that means switch on time, again and again I repeat, duty ratio is defined as the on time versus divided by the T1 by Ts is defined as the duty ratio D. So the switch duty ratio of this switch is assumed to be D, and D is equal to 0.4. We assume that we not really assume, we consider that let us operate the switch Q at 0.4 duty ratio. Obviously it means Q bar is operating at 0.6 duty ratio, because that is a complementary thing, but we only normally mention duty ratio of the main switch. Here the Q is the main switch, Q bar is a supporting switch. So the voltage that is, we consider this node as Vs. So the voltage that is developed at Vs is a switching in nature, is discontinuous in nature. It is not a continuous voltage, but it has a beautiful property that it has it has changed the voltage level, not the level, the voltage average value at this node, from what it was at the input node. At the input node it is the average value of the voltage is 10 volt, that is the supply voltage. But at Vs, the average value of the voltage that you are getting is will be 10 into 0.4 is equal to 4 volts. Even though you understand the instantaneous levels of the voltage is either 10 volt or 0 volt. It is 10 volt when Q is on, or 0 volt when Q bar is on, right? So this was the situation, and I know that if such a situation is there, then under steady state what happens? Under steady state, V0 will definitely go to the average level of the voltage that is produced. V0 is in a sense the Vs average. Vs switch voltage average. So this also will go to 4 volt because the duty ratio is 0.4. This will go to 4 volt. We know the steady state inductor can be considered. That same thing idea is there. The inductor can be considered as almost short. Capacitor can be considered as open. So if the capacitor is open, then the current, load current is supposed to be V0 by R. We assume that the resistance is 1 ohm. So the current will be 4 ampere. So the under steady state this current is also 4 ampere because capacitor is not drawing any current. Though I am little bit simplifying, there will be ripple that I am simplifying here, but the point I wanted to emphasize on at this moment is not this intricate ripple, etc. I am trying to show how energy is going, how power is going from one input side to output side. So we know that when the Q is on, the equivalent circuit could be thought of 10 volt, switch is on, therefore this is the thing, that is the equivalent circuit. When on state equivalent circuit is, yes, anybody, any question, please feel free. So on state voltage is, this is 10 volt, the switch is on, Q is on, and obviously Q bar is off. So therefore this 10 volt is at this terminal, at the switch node, at the switch node terminal, Vs is equal to now 10 volts, and output voltage is 4 volts. So so under this situation, what is happening? That this current 4 ampere is now also taken from the supply side. Supply side is current is at that switch position, this current is 4 ampere. So if this is 4 ampere, how much is the power at that time given by the supply system? Supply system, you can see that it is giving a power of 40 watt. Whereas load is demanding a power of, this is 4 ampere, 4 volt. So load is demanding a power of 16 watt. So the remaining power, 40 watt minus 16 watt, is used to is getting stored. I should say energy is getting stored into the time, into the whatever the time, T1 time. That much energy is stored by the inductor during on time. Inductor. This is during on time. During on time, right? So this is what is being stored into a T1. That is the power is 40 minus 16, that is 24 watt. 24 watt into time, watt into time is energy. That much energy is getting stored. So at this moment, inductor is receiving 40 watt, giving 16 watt to the load, and the rest or the remaining 24 watt it is storing inside itself as energy. It is storing energy that it has received, that extra thing, extra power converted into energy that it has received from the input side. So now what it does is this: the next switching position, the equivalent circuit will be Q bar is on. So this is Q is on, Q bar is off, and Q is open. The 10 volt is now floating. 10 volt is here. Since Q bar is off, so 10 volt is floating. This is Q bar is on. This is the inductor, and this is the capacitor, and this is the resistor. This one. So this capacitor is pretty fat, very big. It doesn't change its voltage level significantly. Even if it changes, it is very, very minute. We have to ignore it. So that doesn't take them. So we say that yes, the current is still, load current is still about 4 ampere. Load current is still about 4 ampere. And this voltage has not changed, so nothing is there. So the current here also is 4 ampere. There is hardly any capacitive current because we are assuming that this capacitor voltage is unchanged, remaining unchanged at 4 volt. But you see that from the input side, no help is coming. The energy is not coming from anybody, any source, because this terminal has shorted. So what is happening is but load is demanding, still demanding 16 watt, right? So the whatever energy that was stored earlier in the on state, so that energy is now being given to the that this capacitor, whatever energy it has received, it is now releasing it to the load. Extra energy which is stored is now releasing, and it is again relieved, and again it is coming back to the old situation. So when it is giving that energy, so that must be, this must be true. That is 40 watt minus 16 watt is 24 watt it had received, and into T1, that must be balanced by 16 watt it is giving, and it is giving for what duration? T off. T off my is equal to Ts minus T1, Ts minus T1. So that duration. So that means I said that T1 by Ts is equal to, let us divide it, so by Ts. So this into 0.4 is equal to 16 into 1 minus 0.4. So it is equal to 16 into 0.6, and we see that it is balanced. 24 into 0.4 is equal to this. So I'm just cross checking. So this must happen, and it is happening. That's what I'm doing, cross checking that it is truly happening, that whatever energy it had stored is sufficient, it's just balanced enough to support the load when there is no supply from the input source. So this is the way this the energy balance is occurring in the inductor. This is the role the inductor is playing. It is storing in one switching state and delivering in another switching state, whatever is required by the load. Any issue, any question? Right? Right?
Excuse me?
Want the capacitor affected, sir?
Hello?
Hello?
Yes, sir, I wanted to know, sir, how did we get that 16 watt?
16 watt. This is 4 ampere. The output voltage is how much? You tell me how much is the output voltage? With 0.4 duty ratio, how much is the output voltage?
4.
4 volt. And resistance is 1 ohm. How much is the current?
Okay, sir, got it.
So resistance is 1 ohm. So therefore the load power requirement is 16 watt. Right? So when inductor, energy is not coming from the, this is the off state. When energy is not coming from the supply, so then who will give this 16 watt? This 16 watt will now be given by the inductor. And how will it give it? Because it has some stored energy. How did it get the stored energy? It got the stored energy when in the on state. In the on state, it got the stored energy. How much stored in, how much energy it got? Not stored energy. How much energy it got? It got 40 watt. But during that phase itself, it has to give 16 watt to the load. So how much? I'm talking not energy. I'm mixing up power and energy. Just a time multiplication you do. But how much power, then extra power it is having? It is having 26 watt. What it is doing with that extra power? 24 watt. Because 40 minus 16 is 24. So what it is doing? It is storing inside itself. It is storing inside. So energy is, it is storing energy. During the on period, it is storing energy. And then what will happen when you understand that this state cannot continue forever. This state cannot continue forever. Because why it cannot continue forever? Then you cannot, then it is reaching the steady state with respect to the 10 volt supply system. That means the ultimately the current will be how much? Suppose I don't turn off Q and don't go to the Q bar state. What will happen? Suppose I keep Q on. So what will happen? Can you tell me what will happen under steady state? What will be the output voltage? If we keep the Q on, Q switch on, what will be the output voltage?
It will be like 10 volt, like.
It will be like 10 volt. It will be like 10 volt. So that is a different operating point. My intention is not to go to 10 volt. That is why it is a controlled thing. I can choose whatever output voltage I want. By what means? By this switching means. By this kind of averaging means. I go to 10 volt for some time and 0 volt for some time. Right? And there is a consequence. The consequence is that 10 volt, whatever energy in this case, you are taking extra energy, because you know that subsequently we will be, when we will be at the Q bar position, the switch will be at Q bar position, you will not be supported. The load cannot be supported then by the input voltage. So what it has to do? It has to use, that's why the storage elements are there. What it has to do? It has to store the extra things store for the rainy day, like that. So they know that there will not be support, so it stores energy. And energy means how? Power into time. So how much energy is stored? 40 watt minus 16 watt into T1. That much energy is stored. Now that must be precisely balanced by the off duration release of this energy. It will release the energy. So how much energy it is releasing? Because it is supporting the load, it has to give 16 watt at that rate, powers of 16 watt. Yeah.
So like here you have assumed that within my one time period of switching, the capacitor like goes into steady state. Like there will be, for this to happen, there should be some constraint on the like time constant like RC or like.
Yeah. I already described that, but maybe I will repeat it. I described that my time constant of the circuit, listen to it very good, is very large compared to the switching period. Can you imagine time period? That means a big low frequency sine wave. Think that it's a big low frequency sine wave, LC. Think that way. Time period is, let us say, 2 seconds. LC, right? That is this thing corresponding to that. It is 2 seconds. But we are talking in the time duration of, let us say, 10 microsecond. So 10 microsecond to 2 seconds, what is the ratio? 10 to the power 5 into 2. 2 into 10 to the power 5. That is the ratio. That small duration I am thinking. So capacitor has no time to discharge. It is not discharging at all. Inductor current is not discharging at all. Okay? But you may say, how then power will go? I am saying this is the power will go. In this portion, the small duration, even that what I said is 10 microsecond. In that, 4 microsecond is kept for on time. Let us give numbers. Probably you will understand. Ts is equal to 10 microsecond. Whereas the time constant LC of this circuit is, let us say, about 2 seconds. Right? So it says it's a pretty small time after it has reached steady state. After the circuit, I always mention that because I'm not saying that the small time the capacitor is charging from 0 to 4, inductor current is charging from 0 to 4. I'm not saying that. What I'm saying that it has, you have operated on off many number of times, infinite number of times. And what will be, if this circuit at all reaches the steady state, what will be the steady state? It will be the steady state based on our fundamental principle that inductors are under steady state, inductors are short and capacitors are open. Okay. So
sir.
Yes.
Sir, but if the time constant of the circuit is like that big in comparison to TS, then it should take like a very long time to reach the steady state itself, right?
Yes. It will reach a very long time. It will reach a 2 second time, let us say 2 second, 4 second, 5 second time to reach the steady state. But who realizes it? Nobody is bothered with that initial time. Once a power supply, like your computer, initially, did you bother when you started the computer? Did you bother how 2 seconds was passed? Or after you switched on, your power supply developed 2 seconds. Did you bother? Didn't bother. You didn't even realize that 2 seconds have passed and the power supply has built up the voltage. Did you bother? Did you feel it? You didn't feel it. But what you are feeling is that when it has reached that, then the voltage should not fluctuate, right? It should not. The computer has a circuit, is a kind of monitoring circuit. It doesn't start activating until and unless power supply has reached the required level. There is a monitoring chip. You will see that if you do electronic design, there are some monitoring chips. The monitoring chip is such that it gives a signal to the corresponding CPU or whatever thing that now the required level of voltage has reached. So to do that, we let the power supply develop slowly. No issue. 2 seconds you don't do. After 2 seconds you start processing your computer whatever you want to do. So that should not be a problem. Okay, that should not be, though I am exaggerating. It is nowadays, it is not 2 seconds. I am exaggerating. It will be 20 milliseconds. Nowadays these things are pretty fast, but I am exaggerating just to demarcate that there is a zone which is transient zone. There is a zone which is a steady state zone. We are in the steady state zone in this analysis. That is what I am dramatizing or exaggerating or whatever you can say. So that is the issue, that Ts is equal to 10 microsecond, T1 is equal to 4 microsecond. So in this 4 microsecond, the capacitor is fat enough, big enough, etc. enough, has no time to lose its charge. And I have not told the story how it has reached. I can tell little bit later. I will tell you that also. But that is unimportant here. That is unimportant. What is important in the power electronics? You first learn how to understand steady state, because steady state itself is pretty interesting. Steady state is not boring thing like one voltage, one inductor, one capacitor. It has switch. So you may say that it is jumping between one kind of quasi steady state to another quasi steady state, because when we change the switch, as if we are creating a transient. We are creating a transient, but the transient has no importance or significance, because it is created in such a small duration. It hardly is a oscillatory transient. Though the circuit has LC components, you will not see oscillation under steady state, because the capacitor voltage is hardly changing. Only the little bit of ripple we will see, and the ripple you are seeing is in a 2 second zone. You are only looking at 10 microsecond zone, okay, which really expresses itself with 2 second kind of oscillations. You are seeing in the zone of 10 microsecond, where it is almost linear. You know, even the exponential rise and all, you have seen that in the beginning it is almost linear. It is not, it doesn't, you don't feel that, you can hardly differentiate between a linear thing or a exponential thing if you are looking at the very beginning initial time zone. So that aspect is, yeah.
Sir, so like once the capacitor reaches its steady state, due to its like large time constant, the voltage across the capacitor does not change much, and that's how we get a constant 4 volt output, right?
Yes. That is the point. That is the point. So capacitor, in order to change its voltage significantly, you need to give it a time of, let us say, at least 100 milliseconds, at least 100 milliseconds to even perceive it. But we are not going in that. We are just going into that small 10 microsecond zone. We are not allowing it to change any significant way, because we cannot afford to. The design cannot afford to. That is what the requirement of the load is. Load requires constant voltage, right? So we do not go into that kind of thing. That's why we need higher switching frequency. That's why the switch has to be faster. It will switch between two. You see the point. It cannot afford to stay still in any position. The moment it stays still, the things collapses. If it had stayed still at Q position, switch at Q position, then the imposing voltage would have been 10 volt, and it would have ultimately capacitor had to go towards 10 volt. We cannot afford that, because our load requirement is, let us say, is 4 volt, and we cannot afford to keep ourselves in the Q bar position, right? Because then also the capacitor voltage discharges to 0. So the system voltage discharges to 0. That is also not our requirement. Our requirement is to maintain 4 volt. And our requirement, in order to maintain the 4 volt, we must make sure that the capacitor doesn't discharge. Inductor may have a little more charging and discharging, but that is also not significant. It's not that inductor current will significantly fall by any significant manner, but it can deviate more than what capacitor is, because capacitor is the focus. Capacitor voltage is the focus. That is where the load, what the load requires. Load requires it not to vary more than 5%. Inductor current is an internal to the converter, internal component to the converter that you are making, that you are designing. But the capacitor voltage is what you are delivering to the external load, to the fellow who needs this power supply. So that may vary, but even then it is not so significant variation. It will maintain its original level. And how can it maintain its original level? if there is an energy balance, if whatever energy you are taking and whatever energy you are delivering within that period, within the TS period, if they are balanced, if they are matched, then no issue. How can anybody change from its DC value? The inductor cannot change from its DC value of 4 ampere. The capacitor voltage cannot change from its DC value of 4 volt. Because what you have done, you have supplied effectively the energy, taking it from the input to the output. So nobody has any need to drop. Then in the process, you have taken the help of the storage element of the inductor. You have taken a little extra energy during the on time, and during the off time, you have given back that energy to the, given that energy to the load. So that's why load is satisfied and inductor is satisfied. Inductor is also charging and discharging to the same energy level. Energy, its basic energy level is Li square. That means half Li square, half L into 4 square. That is its basic energy level, on which there is an extra energy coming in and extra energy going out. Its energy level, if I look at it, inductor energy level, I'm telling in a conceptual manner, its energy level is corresponding to half L 4 square. Then during the period, it is from this level, it is going up. During on time, it is going up, and during off time, it is going down. So this is the on time. This is the T on. And this is the T off. T off. It is going down. Again, it will go up, and again, it will go down. So no problem. So everything is under steady state. This is the kind of steady state. Periodic thing is produced periodic thing. Energy is periodic now. Energy intake and energy output, energy delivery is following a periodic pattern. So this is what is power electronics conceptually different from just network analysis. Here there is a switch, and the switch is moving it between 2 circuits. There can be more switches that it can move it between 3 circuits also. You understand that in generic way, you can have any number of states, but eventually at the end of the period, their energy levels must be the same. This energy must be equal to this energy. That's all. That is steady state. Any question?
So this plot is like after reaching the steady state, right?
After reaching the steady state, always remember that I am doing steady state. Acha, if you want to know how it will reach, that is also not difficult. It will start from 0. I am doing qualitatively, must not take it to literally. So qualitatively, it has to reach what? Initially, this will be the inductor current. With, you will see a little ripple, switching ripple, because on off is happening. And here steady state. Here it is reached state. This time maybe lot, maybe 4 seconds, After that you break it, and here you look at it. Now your cycle is, inductor current is increasing, decreasing, but level is, corresponding level is 4 ampere. This is what is inductor current. That is what is.
Sir?
Yes, sir. Tell me.
So how will the energy stored in the capacitor look like in the steady state?
Oh, that is same. That is similar. Same, not same. Similar. Capacitor energy. Let me draw it here itself. It will look like it was initially 0, and then it will charge. Only I am not drawing properly. Like that. By same differential equations, no issue. What is the differential equation, you can find out. So there's a qualitatively it is right. Only thing, I am not totally synchronizing this peak with this one. I am not synchronizing. It will have the same natural frequency. This is natural frequency is dependent on LC of the circuit. This bigger oscillations are LC. These small things are switching. Here also it will have this, and ultimately it will reach the level of 4 volt. Its DC level will be 4 volt. Its DC level will be 4 ampere in this particular case. And the capacitor, if you zoom and see, then I'm doing now steady state. Zoom and see, you will see basically level is 4 volt, 4 volt, and on that this ripple will be very on time. This on time there will be something. I will plot it little later and little later, like that. It very little. This will be much less. This will be comparatively more. This level delta IL, we call it delta IL. Delta IL ripple, we call it delta V. We call it this variation from the average value. We call it delta VC, V naught. This is what we will see. This is what is V naught. This is what is V naught. So it will take 4 seconds, depending upon whatever the LC chosen here. It will take substantial amount of time to reach its steady state. Because initially, anything if you start, initial condition is IL0. IL0 is equal to 0, IL. And VC0, I should relate it to this. VC0 is also equal to 0. This is steady state. This next waveform is, this is steady state. This is steady state. This is steady state. It will be very little ripple. Very little ripple, and they come back. They come back here and here. They come back. There will be something delta V naught going up and coming back. And how much is that? We'll calculate. We'll calculate. Wait a little bit, because that is how a power supply capacitor has to be chosen. You really understand now. You really understand that now. This is the back way. They will give you a specification of what they want delta V naught by V naught to be, and we have to choose a capacitance to match it. That is the designer's job. They will give you, let us say, assume that they give you a specification of delta IL by IL, and you have to choose the proper inductor to match it. And these choices are based on the steady state thing. These choices are based on the steady state thing, not based on the transient. Nobody is choosing how much, either 4 seconds or 6 seconds or 3 seconds. Nobody is choosing LC based on that. This is the consequence of the choice of LC that you have made. The choices are always based on the steady state issues, steady state power, steady state thing, maximum voltage, maximum current, variation, etc., etc. After choosing that, when you initially start the stuff, you will see that there is an oscillation, and because it is a LC circuit, though it will be reasonably well damped, but there could be an oscillation, and then it reaches the steady state after some relatively saying lot of time. 4 seconds, whether it's a lot of time or a very small time is a different thing. From human perception, it is very small time, but from the switching, with respect to the switching frequency is, let us say, 100 kilohertz, 10 microseconds. With respect to that, it is lot of time. So it has taken substantial amount of time to reach its steady state. But once it has reached steady state, the only thing that has to be ensured is that initial value of the current at the beginning of the period is equal to the current at the end of the switching period. That implies energy balance. The inductor is neither storing energy nor releasing energy. It has some stored energy corresponding to its load, half IL into 4 square. But during the on time, its energy is increasing. During the off time, its energy is decreasing, and it returns back to the same point. So similar thing is true for the capacitor also. But capacitor, this excursion of energy is rather less, because we design in such a way that the delta V naught is delta V naught by V naught, that ratio is smaller for capacitor than delta IL by IL ratio of the inductor. Any question? Yes.
So that in that example, we supplied 40 watts of power, right? And
yes.
at the output load, we got 16 watt, right?
Correct.
So the remaining 24 watt will be distributed across half Li square and half CV square, right?
the remaining thing will be distributed mostly, yes, but let us say I said no, capacitor voltage change is very little. So let us ignore that distribution, distribution between inductor and logically you are right. Logically you are right, but in practical case, the capacitor voltage change is hardly anything. I said that V0 is remaining at V0 in the simple understanding of the thing. So the simple understanding of the thing, the capacitor is neither gaining nor losing anything, as if it is load is completely supported by the energy stored in the inductor. Have I answered you?
Okay, sir, got it.
Got it? No, you just think that this capacitor is such a big thing, stuff. Inductor is big, but compared to that capacitors, in the 10 microsecond duration, capacitor will hardly lose anything. Very, but let us say 2%. You are right. In principle, it is like something like this energy that is coming is also coming into the capacitor. So both of them together. But capacitor as such is made somewhat rigid. Its voltage level is almost same, remaining same, because we have put such a big capacitor. So so if it is not there, then this extra energy is going completely. You can think that way. It will give you more realistic thinking that that energy is completely going to the extra energy is going to the inductor, and the inductor is now in the subsequent off period is releasing that energy. So as if the energy is being provided by the inductor. Capacitor is holding it. Capacitor is always maintaining the same level of energy. It is neither giving nor taking. Always. Inductor is both giving and taking. It is taking the energy from the input source and giving it to the load. So that is the realistic situation of any design, of any power supply design. The capacitor during this period is not real. It is just its energy level is not changing much. The energy level which is changing in the case of an inductor, the inductor is storing the energy that would be required to support the load. That is its job, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, at least in this case and in this topology. This is called topology. This is called one converter topology, buck converter. This is a buck topology converter. I will come to that. A little more formal analysis I will do. So this is the point. Okay, so this condition we mathematically define in certain way. So what I have said that that any inductor, let us say this is an inductor, plus minus, I define it as voltage as VL, and the current is direction is IL. So the basic equation I know that VL is equal to L DIL by dt. This is the basic equation that always holds good. Therefore, DIL is equal to VL dt by L. Now I do this, integrate it, DIL 0 to TS is equal to integration of VL dt by L 0 to TS. TS is the switching period. Now, can you tell me, under steady state, what would be 0 to TS DIL? What will be this? That means change in the inductor current. What it will be?
0.
Good. 0. So the condition of energy balance in the inductor is now giving us a condition of volt second. Why the word volt second coming? this implies that this thing also has to be 0 to Ts VL dt by L. This integration also has to be 0 if I integrate over this, over the entire switching period, and this is volt second. This is voltage into second. What is this volt? That means it can be divided into L is doesn't matter. So L I am removing. So what I'm saying is L is assumed to be constant. So there is no question of bringing it into the integration. So 0 to on time TTS VL dt plus dTs to Ts VL dt must be equal to 0. So what is the philosophy that it is describing? It is describing volt second across the inductor. It is in words. If I want to describe, I will say that this is called volt second balance. Balance equation of volt second equation of inductor. That means in a power converter circuit, anywhere there is an inductor, anywhere, any place, you are only interested in steady state, you can apply this condition. You can apply this condition. Why this will be beneficial? Then I will get the relationship between different voltages of the converter. Because steady state condition is implying that there has to be volt second balance across the inductor, and therefore from that applying that condition, I will get the relationship between different, because VL will now write in terms of other circuit voltages, and then the relationship between that voltages will be found out. This is called volt second balance. You understand that why volt second, voltage into time. So let us do this integration now. Let us do this integration now and see how this condition can be used for the circuit that we have just discussed. So can anybody tell me how should I write VL for the circuit just described? How should I write VL for the circuit just described? 0 to dTs. How much is the VL during on time? What should be the expression in terms of variables? Do you know that we give some names? We give it is VG, and the output voltage is called V0. So when this is on, what is the voltage across the inductor? Tell me, what is the voltage across the inductor during on time?
10 minus
VG
minus V0.
Let us talk in terms of parameters. We say VG minus V0. VG, you always write input source as VG. So we'll say VG minus V0 into dt plus off time. What should I write? What should I write? Voltage across the inductor. What is the off time voltage? Don't change the minus V0. Don't change the conception. This is minus V0 into dt, and integration is done between 0 to not 0 dTs to 1 minus dTs. Sorry, Ts, not this Ts. Okay, this is Ts. So that must be equal to 0, right? Let us make one more approximation. Actually, it is not really required, but still, just make the approximation that Vg itself is a slow varying quantity. Vg is a slow. It may vary. I said that it may vary. Varying is VARYING. Is it varying but spelling is correct? VARYING.
Sir,
Is that correct? Varying by spelling, VARY, yeah, gotcha, is a slow varying quantity. Yeah.
Sir, so like when the switch is on, at that time, like VG will it will definitely be constant, right? So like why are we assuming that VG is a slow varying? Like the part where VG comes in under integration, it is like during the on time, right? So during the on time, VG is constant, right? According to our assumption, like it was a
Our assumption is actually on V0. if you observe very rarely I have talked about VG assumption, and I also initially told that a power supply is to be designed to take care of any variation in the input voltage and load current, because these two are the variable quantities. Irrespective of that variations, we must be able to get constant voltage at the output by adjustment of the duty ratio. The game is this: VG as such is variable, and load current means in this case R, load R, resistance R, that is also variable, and against which you take control action by adjustment of the duty ratio, and so that V0 remains constant. V0 is equal to capital V0. That is the basic thing we have to, I mean, our what to say, our paradigm is ultimately input voltage is variable. No, like suppose you are taking AC case 220 volt. Who says that it will be constant? 220 volt cannot go to 230 volt. It goes. If you take a battery voltage is always constant. No, it is not always constant. It may vary. 10%, 15% variation is possible. If you take solar PV panel, does it not vary? It also varies as per the radiation. So input voltage is varies, but it is a slow varying quantity. That means its speed is not as fast as the switching period, right? So that is the assumption we are making here, quantity.
Yes, sir, got it.
Got it, no? It's a slow varying quantity. Slow with respect to the switching period to use. That means during TS, we don't assume that too much variation is there. Again, in a pictorial manner, if you want to see, it is like this. This variation is, this is VG variation. Okay, so you are seeing a small time zone. You are seeing very small here. So in that zone, you assume that it is reasonably constant. That is what I am trying to imply. That is what I am trying to. Its variation is not fast. It is not varying that in the small zone it is varying. Small 10 microsecond zone it is oscillating, changing in a segment. That zone it is constant. That zone we have to assume that it is reasonably constant. So that is the point. So this is V0 variation is absolutely not there. It should not be there. Almost not there. You understand that what I'm saying? Only 2%, 3% variation I will tolerate. But VG variation will be 10-15% in a magnitude, but its rate of change is slow. It is not very fast. You learn later that I can always maintain it. If something you say, no sir, how do you dictate that how an input voltage will? Okay, I say, well, if you say that it is changing at this rate, I will choose a switching frequency which is 30 times, 40 times more than that. But the switching period very small that. So any change if I know a priori, I can choose a corresponding time period which is much smaller. So during which it is not changing. So as such no constant is there, but there is a conceptual constant is not, because I can always choose a switching frequency. I can always choose a period small enough. But it is a practical constant that then I have to go for a high switching frequency, and high switching frequency always has some associated losses, because I implied in the first class that how the transition happens between on to off, that is very important. And during on to off transition there could be losses, and therefore there could be a limitation for going towards a very high switching frequency. So so that is the issue. Then maybe I hope you have got the idea. So VG is a slow varying quantity assumption with respect to TS, with respect to the TS. So within the period TS there is not much change. So if that is what I assume, then what do I write? What do I say? This equation, how can I write it? I can write it like, that's why I'm writing now capital. It is, sorry, not this color. VG capital, VG into its integration. VG output voltage is anyway constant, V0. Integration is now just multiplication by time, VG minus V0 into DTS. plus minus V naught into 1 minus dTs. 1 minus dTs is the integration duration of time. Integration duration corresponding to the off time of the switch. dTs is the on time. So this is the volt second balance. On time voltage into time, off time voltage across the inductor into time. That must be equal to 0. Don't change the polarity. Don't change the polarity conception of the inductor. That's why this is minus. Plus minus conception we have not changed. That's why it is minus. So what we get here is then Vg into d. Ts doesn't matter. You can see that Ts doesn't matter. That is a beautiful thing. This relationship is not dependent. I was referring to that earlier. This relationship, this is the conversion relationship. We are getting conversion from the steady state condition. We are getting the conversion relationship of the converter. So Vg into d is equal to V naught is the relationship. Or conversion wise, we will write it as voltage conversion ratio V naught by Vg is equal to d. This is a voltage conversion ratio. Note that it is not dependent on the switching frequency on the switching Fs. Fs is equal to 1 by Ts. So whether you operated the converter at 10 kilohertz or whether you operate the converter at 100 kilohertz, your conversion formula will not be affected. Your current ripple formula will be affected. Your voltage ripple formula will be affected. Even now, common sense you are getting that idea that the smaller I go, the smaller time period I go, the variation is likely to be less in the inductor current and capacitor voltage. So that thing will be dependent on this, but not the what to say, not the voltage conversion ratio formula. Once we got the voltage conversion ratio, we can also get the current conversion ratio. What do we define as the current conversion ratio to be in the converter? No, before that. So this is, so steady state implies volt second balance. Steady state implies volt second balance. Steady state also should imply current second balance, because again, if the energy level of the inductor is not changing, similarly the energy level of the capacitor also should not change. So what is the capacitor current equation, basic equation? C V naught dV naught by dt is equal to IC, which means that dV naught is equal to IC dt by C, which implies that integration of dV naught 0 to Ts is equal to IC dt by C integration 0 to Ts, which is mentioning it that as IC into dt 0 to dTs plus IC dt during dTs plus Ts is equal to 0. So this is what is current second balance condition. Current second but it is comparatively difficult to apply it because IC is difficult to find out. You get the point. IC is essentially difficult to find out because IC cannot be found out current second balance condition. So how can I find out IC unless I know the inductor current? Let us say this is the thing.
Sir,
IC, huh?
Sir, like if you are considering steady state, then like in steady state the capacitor is open. So like how like IC should be close to 0, right? Then like
It is a steady state, definitely. But within the steady state, the inductor current is changing. Only thing is changing, again coming back. So steady state doesn't mean flat. This is what inductor current is happening. This is what the capacitor voltage. This is why you have to understand it a little clearly. What is the meaning of steady state? It is not the steady state of networks. What the state of network means, steady state means no change, no fluctuation. But here, due to the periodicity of the applied voltage, there is a fluctuation. This is the fluctuation. And the fluctuation is essentially bringing it back to the same point. That is why it is steady state. But it's not that it is not changing at all. A capacitor voltage also will go through these excursions.
Sir?
Yeah.
So like here, so like since even at steady state, the inductor current will have some minor change. So correspondingly, the IC of the capacitor.
Yeah. Corresponding
But
to IC.
But sir, in the volt, like in the volt second balance of inductor, there we assume that inductor current is constant, right? In the earlier derivation.
No. I didn't anticipate this constant. Inductor current is slope. This first one is the slope changing. Oh, if you don't get it, Vg minus V0. Are they equal? They are not equal. So that means there is a change. Vg minus V0 into D. That means what? Vg is 10, V0 is 4. So it is increasing. What is the meaning of minus V0? The slope is negative. It is falling. This slope is minus V0. V0 by L. This slope is Vg minus V0 by L. Only thing is I am assuming that these 2 points are equal. End points are equal. That is what I am assuming. It is not assumed that this inductor current is constant. Inductor current is has a slope, positive slope and a negative slope. But the slopes are cancelling each other eventually. Not slopes are cancelling. The amount of change in the on time is compensated by the amount of change in the off time. This is delta IL. This label is here. This is delta IL. This is delta IL. This is delta IL. So whatever it has increased during the on time is whatever at the same amount it has decreased in the. So current is changing. Current is changing here. So that small change in current is also producing a small change in this capacitor current. This capacitor current. So you see that directly applying this condition is slightly difficult because I cannot find out unless I find out the IL waveform. I cannot find out. So normally steady state condition is not derived from the capacitor current second balance. It is derived from the inductor volt second balance, which will relate the input and output voltage and which will give you the conversion ratio. So by applying inductor volt second balance, we will get the conversion ratio. Though I must understand that current second balance is also holding good and we will apply it later, but without explicitly finding out the inductor current waveform, I cannot find out the capacitor current waveform. I may assume that this current, load current is constant. V0, I will assume that is, but it doesn't mean the capacitor current is constant because capacitor is dV0 by dt. V0 is equal to constant doesn't mean assuming that dV0 by dt is constant within the period. Within the period there is a change in the dV0 by dt. But the change is insignificant. But however insignificant, we must quantify it. Because unless we quantify it, we don't know whether you are meeting the specification delta V0 by V0. So this is now within the period analysis and within the period fluctuations, assuming steady state. And steady state is imposing that external things, that initial value is equal to final value within the period. Right? I will take the questions. If you have further questions, I will take it. So thank you very much for attending the class. I am stopping here.
So,
yeah.
So if you consider those changes in the capacitor current, those will also lead to some excursions in the output voltage, right? Because if the current is changing, the voltage across the capacitor will also change.
Yeah, that
even
voltage
by a
is
slight amount.
Listen. Is it difficult to think that IC change is significant, but V0 change is insignificant? Is it difficult? Because one is derivative, another is the quantity, right? Those two things are if this is changing, that is changing, right? But that doesn't make us deviate from the basic assumption that this change is small. This change within the period is small. Delta V naught is small because we also have a quantity called capacitor by which we can control the V naught change. C dV by dt, right? So delta V naught is not very high, even though C dV by dt is very high. Is it difficult to understand? C current IC is equal to C dV by V naught by dt. I am saying this is not significant. It is there, it is not significant. But IC is significant because C is very high. C is high. So there is a significant amount of capacitor current going here. Okay, significant compared to whatever the V naught. We will show that. But V naught is not changing much because it has a bulky capacitor related to this. You have to integrate it. Okay, integrate. What is dV naught? dV naught is equal to IC dt by C. That is how we are reducing it. That is how we are reducing it. So this way you will understand that delta V naught is not so strong that I have to assume that there is a change in. There is slight change, but that change need not be taken into consideration. That change is there, and this. So therefore, this current may be assumed to be pretty much of a constant thing, but we have to assume that there is a fluctuation in the inductor current. That fluctuation is going to the capacitor. So whatever happening is the ripple part of the inductor current is actually going to the capacitor, not going to the load, because the load voltage is pretty much constant. So this much is this current is not changing, but here the currents are changing, and here the currents are changing. Capacitor currents are changing, and the ripple of the inductor current is changing. Not clear?
Yes, sir, it is.
You think about it, and next class we'll again discuss. Yeah.
So the changes in the capacitor current will be proportional to the changes in the inductor current, right? Like
yeah. Somewhat shifted. Yes. Yeah, you can take that. Only thing, capacitor current, as you know, in this thing, average value has to be 0. So what will happen? The inductor current is like this. The capacitor current will take out the DC part and only take the AC part. That is this part, fluctuating part. That will be the capacitor current. This is the inductor current, which has a DC level over which there is a ripple. The ripple part only is going to the capacitor. The DC part is going to the load. That is how it is balanced. KCL is balanced. The inductor current has a DC part and a ripple part. The DC part is going there. That is unchanged. That is not very much changed because the voltage is almost constant. And so then what will happen? Then the ripple part will be coming to the capacitor. So capacitor current average value will be 0. IC average will be 0. IC average will be 0 in the period. That has to be 0. That means overall whatever charge is going into the capacitor is coming out. So there is no movement in the capacitor voltage. If there is an unbalance, there will be a movement in the capacitor. Capacitor will either increase or decrease. But if the amount of charge you are giving in and the amount of charge you are taking out, okay, then there is no change in the capacitor. So this way, all the assumptions are satisfied. That none of them are changing in their energy level, from their energy level. They are returning back to the same energy level. However, energy from the input supply is going to the load in a very in a two-step manner. It is not going directly. It is coming in, storing, and then from the stored energy of the inductor is basically developed. Capacitor in this case is as if remaining at its own initial energy level, that is corresponding to 4 volt, because this value is very high. Little change is there. No, don't misunderstand me. I said that there is small ripple and it is changing by that small amount. Okay, compared to the inductor, which is changing significantly, which may be changing 30%, 40% changing happening, but in the capacitor, the change is happening about 2%, 3% like that. So that way, in power electronics, we always give lot of importance to the order of the things. Very, very important. Okay, we don't take everything qualitatively. We also think things in terms of quantitatively. If something is 1/10 of something, we say that it is not changing. If something is time is 10 microsecond corresponding to 2 seconds, we say that one is DC, one is constant. That time nothing is happening. So these are the things. This is the way you have to develop an eye for viewing things into different time constants, and then things will be clear.
So one more thing. So the current second balance can be proved from the plot, right? The IC plot, if you see, so it's basically.
Yeah. It can be proved. You are right. Absolutely right. Current
Yes.
second. Absolutely right. You are getting the idea. So shall I close now?